talk about the Mount Kenya secret, the secret that wasn't a secret after all. Through Anne Mombi Waiguru Kamodho, we have come to finally learn and for others to finally accept that Raila Amolo Odinga is going to be offered to the Kikuyu nation and indeed the larger Mount Kenya region come the year 2022. Anne Waiguru has been very categorical about it, leaving nothing for interpretation, that the Mount Kenya region is going to support Raila Amolo Odinga in 2022. Anne Mombi Waiguru is not just another lady. She's a serious leader from the Mount. In her own words, she's now leading the Mount Kenya region as Kenya's move towards 2022. And as we all know, 2022 is going to be different from many other election cycles. This because 2022 will be about regions working together with other regions to be in the new government of 2022. So that means the people from Eastern, the Kamba, people from Western, the Luya, the Luo, the coastal communities, the Kalenjin communities will be in one formation or the other. So therefore, assuming that William Samoei Ruto stays put and goes against the side supported by his boss, as is wont to call him, then we are seeing a scenario where, like it is becoming clear, Raila Amolo Odinga faces William Samoei Ruto. And as Anne Mombi tells us, Mombi Waiguru, that the Mount Kenya region is ready to support Raila Odinga. Categorical. Anne Mombi, we have said, is not just another lady. She has emerged and said as much that she is the leader of the Mount Kenya region as we move towards 2022. So the conversation I think we must now have must center around whether Mount Kenya people, in particular the Kikuyu nation, will in 2022 accept Raila Amolo Odinga. This is not an empty question. My in-laws from the Mount have been known not to support any other person. During the second liberation, in the election of 1992, they gave Moi a direct pass by fielding Stanel Kenneth Gino Matiba and Emilio Mwai Kibaki, thereby denying the doyen of opposition politics, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, an old man who had done so much for this country, a man who everybody expected would be given the torch by all opposition figures in this country. That was not to be. This was attributed to the thinking and the philosophy and the politics of the Mount, that it's difficult for them to support anybody else. So Moi went through. In 2012, against all expectation, against the narrative that had gained currency from 2008 during the coalition government, that the Kikuyu were not going to front any other candidate, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta stood in 2013. I remember an incident at the senior common room, the University of Nairobi, while I when talking to one of the think tanks that were working for Raila, one of the guys in the think tank that was pushing Raila's agenda, one of his key advisors from the university. I told him, late 2011, early 2012, that of all the problems that were anticipating Raila to face, the biggest will be Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Let me tell you, it became confrontational. He insulted me. This guy told me there was no way the Kikuyus were going to produce another president in 2022. The shame alone will not allow them even to imagine that they can go for the presidency. It came to pass. With the baggage of ICC, Uhuru stood, but with a much, much bigger baggage of tribe, he still stood. So people will be looking at this and saying, will they this time support somebody else? In the person of perhaps William Samoei Ruto, and in our case today, in the person of Raila Amolo Odinga. Will they do it? Or will they now find it easier to do that because they may not have a candidate? I want to give a small guess that my in-laws from the mountain may support Raila Amolo Odinga in an arrangement where they have serious stake. Now, if you want to know where the Mount will vote, ask yourself, if they will not be producing a presidential candidate, it means they are going to side with either Ruto or Raila because they will have a stake in that government. It becomes complicated for Ruto and Christmas for Raila Odinga because it will be very difficult for Uhuru to remain in an arrangement with Ruto in power. Politicians are shameless. They could do a Putini, but it's much easier to do it with Raila Amolo Odinga than do it with William Ruto. So when Anne Mumbi says they are going to support Raila Odinga in the mountain, I kind of say it is possible. But that is at the political level, at the level of leadership. How about the people? Is the Mount Kenya region, are the people going to listen to Anne Mumbi and Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and the rest of these leaders, including my friend Murathe? Are they going to listen to them and go the Raila way? The answer to this question is not as easy as the leadership may think. Neither is it as difficult as the ground may think. The Mount Kenya leadership will think, as usual, they go to Limuru and tell the Kikuyu nation and the Mount Kenya people, go this way and they will vote for Raila. I want to advise them. It may not be that easy. How about the common people, the voters? Today they say they will never listen to anybody, not even Uhuru Kenyatta, that they are family with William Samoei Ruto. But I want to advise them to be a little more cautious, to be a little more honest. Many of our communities in this country say one thing, including the most educated among them. They would say, we are Kikuyus, but we support Raila Odinga. But come the voting, when they enter that booth, the Kikuyu in them comes up. The primordial instincts take over. So, for those who think because people now support William Ruto in central Kenya, that come 2022, they will not listen to Uhuru to support Raila, I want to tell them, my friend, if you are from the William Samoei Ruto side and you are banking on the state on the ground today and on what people are saying on the ground that they will defy Uhuru, I want to advise you to take it with a little more caution. These are Kenyans. Come 2022, the Kikuyu and the Mount Kenya region is most likely going to listen to Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and that they are all going to face Mount Kenya. And if in the direction of Mount Kenya, they have been given Raila Amolo Odinga, they are likely to vote for him. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be extremely interesting. Perhaps finally I want to have a conversation around who is Raila then likely to work with. In order to make Raila an easy sell in Mount Kenya region, and because he needs those votes to beat William Samoei Ruto, because Ruto is not a joke, he must get substantive votes from the Mount. In order to get this, the Mount, like I've said, must have a substantive stake. So who is this man or woman who will work with Raila and convince the Mount Kenya region that you have a stake in 2022 government? Is it going to be Anne Mumbi Waiguru? Would her presence perhaps as Raila's deputy or as prime minister, for example, would that be enough? Will Kenneth be enough to convince the Kikuyus and the Mount Kenya region that we are in this Raila government? Will one of them being deputy or prime minister? My answer, for now, it may change tomorrow, but for now, my answer is Anne Waiguru, Peter Kenneth may not be enough to convince the Mount Kenya people that they have a stake in the Raila government. And therefore, I should be forgiven for looking at these things straight in the eye and saying Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta will be there in that government as Prime Minister, as a powerful Prime Minister. In fact, I can even argue this way. Not only may Uhuru be a powerful Prime Minister, he will even stay at State House. All you need to do is change State House and call it Government House. That's what it was before. And like 10 Downing Street, that's where the Prime Minister stays. So it'll be very interesting. It will be very interesting. The only other option is for Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta to put somebody in place to hold the brief for him. And that's how Fred Matiang'i comes in. That kind of person may convince Uhuru that his stake is taken care of, and it may be an easier sell to the Mount Kenya region. Still, I have to revert to my earlier thinking that Raila is likely to work with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, most likely directly in 2022. And that'll be a very simple sell. So let us not take lightly what Anne Waiguru is telling us, that Mount Kenya region is going to be given Raila for a choice. And this morning, as I say this, I'm not so sure that she could fail and that the leadership of Mount Kenya may fail in that scheme. And therefore, from where William Samoei Ruto is, he must not only know that it has now been firmly concluded that he will face Raila Odinga, he must also know he is competing for the soul of the Mount Kenya people, and he needs the Mount Kenya vote. But as things look, I can see Raila taking that vote. And together with his support from the likes of Joho, Wetangula, Musalia Mudavadi, Francis Atwoli, the workers' leader, Gideon Moi, and a host of other leaders in this country, from this country, then I can see Raila Odinga not only getting substantive support from the Mount Kenya region, but tending to have an upper hand come 2022. And that should send William Samoei Ruto back to the drawing board.